Hey guys, welcome to the Magfed Ranch Paintball channel, and today I'm going to be doing a how to disassemble and reassemble your Tippmann TiPX paintball pistol. But before I get into it guys, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, share, and comment. Alright guys, let's get into it. So guys, I'm going to bring the camera up close and then we'll begin the process, okay? So guys, before you begin, as always, just make sure you have a clean work area, workstation to work with. I always like to use these pads as well too, guys, because obviously it kind of keeps all your tools, kind of all your pieces that you're going to be disassembling and reassembling in place without them rolling off the table and, you know, them falling off and losing somewhere. Make sure you guys have all your tools in place. Full disclosure, you will only need a 3mm Allen wrench or T-handle Allen key, as I have here, to disassemble and reassemble your Tippmann TiPX paintball pistol. However, I would just like to have some other tools ready just in case, a little small flathead screwdriver, just in case I need to take an O-ring off the bolt. Maybe get to a little crevice to clean, or maybe just to pick it out of if it's something falls into a little crevice. A pair of needle nose pliers for the same reason, just in case I need to grab something that my fingers can't get to. And of course a flashlight as well, just so I can see you know, if everything was installed properly, everything was in place. Of course, you want any type of cleaning supplies that you'll need to clean the inside of the marker or the outside of the marker, guys, right? So I have a microfiber towel here. And of course, you're gonna need some type of lubricant to lube the O-rings and some of the components inside the marker, guys. With the TiPX pistol, because it uses CO2, unless of course you switch it out to a, you know, a compressed air system, guys, you want to use, at least my personal recommendation is to use a good grease instead of just kind of your oil, because of the CO2, you know, temperature changes and just being a little bit more harsh on the O-rings than compressed air would be. Okay guys, so let's begin. There's going to be two halves on the TiPX pistol, guys. If you think of it as a vehicle, as a car, when you're sitting in the driver's seat of your vehicle and you're facing forward, the driver's side of your vehicle is going to be considered the left side of the vehicle, and the passenger side of your vehicle is going to be considered the right side of the vehicle. So just as you see here with the TiPX pistol, if the pistol is facing forward away from you, the left half of the pistol is going to be considered the left side, guys, and the right side of the pistol is going to be the right side. Okay, guys? So with the way the Allen keys, bolts, and the nuts are configured, you're going to want to work on the pistol with the right side of the halves on the side of the table. Okay, guys? So the left half of the pistol facing upwards. Okay. First things first, guys, remove the barrel from the pistol. Okay, so it just unscrews off. I believe it's an A5 thread barrel, guys, okay? Next step, guys, is just remove the CO2 cap and also, in essence, puncture cylinder cover. Okay guys, and we'll set that off to the side. And of course, lastly, remove the magazine from the pistol. Okay guys, like I said, using a mat works really well, guys, because you have places to set everything. Now, using our Allen key, the 3mm Allen key, start loosening all the Allen key bolts. Okay guys, and once again, guys, you know, just make sure that you're keeping track of each bolt location, because these bolts are going to be different lengths. Now, you don't have to remove them kind of in a staggered sequence like I am doing here, but I just prefer doing this method because when I go to tighten the pistol together, I typically tighten the screws in a staggered pattern so that way everything is clamping evenly, okay guys? Alright, so all the Allen key bolts are loose, guys. Obviously, when you took the CO2 chamber cover off, there won't be a CO2 cartridge in there, but as always, just make sure that the pistol is not aired up. And of course, there's just no, paintballs or first strikes in the marker as well. Okay, so as you guys will notice here that I am putting the Allen keys in the position that I am taking it out of, guys, so that way I will put them back in the same location when I go to reassemble the marker. Okay, there is all the bolts removed. Now, once all the bolts are loose and removed from the halves of the marker, guys, the two halves will separate. So just take your time because it is under spring tension where the bolt spring is. And typically it's going to be right here where all the tension is, guys, right kind of in the center of the pistol here, right where it says Tippmann. So just slowly remove the halves of the pistol. And I like to get my fingers in here and just kind of hold the breech down, because this is going to be where all the tension is, and it might pop up and kind of shoot things around. Okay, guys? So once this is removed, guys, you can start taking all the components out of the right half of the pistol. And typically what I like to do is remove the barrel shroud first and set that in the position where it would go back in. The next piece would be the CO2 cartridge housing, metal housing. After this, typically what I like to do is I like to remove the magazine release and then the safety switch, safety selector. And then I like to rotate the power tube up and just lift it completely out, guys, of the air chamber here. Okay, guys? Next, of course, is your trigger assembly with the metal rod that goes through it. A little piece of plastic that separates the two halves and kind of just align the two halves together. And then at this point, you can literally lift the whole breech with bolt and bolt spring out as one. Okay, guys. Last piece we have in here is going to be the trigger connect bar. Alright, guys, and that's pretty much all the components, guys. At this point, this is pretty much all you would need to start going to clean the different halves of the TiPX pistol. So this is where you can use your microfiber towel, or as I always told you guys on other videos, use an air compressor with a blowgun to kind of get all the dirt or maybe the paint debris out of the halves. Okay. One thing of note to be very careful, as you can see here, I have lost it over the years just because of disassembling, reassembling it out on the field, maybe letting my teammates use it and cleaning it, but there was a small plastic square where the chamber indicator hole is, so that way it obviously covers any dirt from getting into the chamber, but that little square plastic piece has gone missing, guys. But just like I said, just so you're aware, there are a lot more little small components in the TiPX pistol than some other markers out there, so you just have to be aware of it. Just make sure you're keeping track of all these stuff, okay, guys? But yes, at this point, guys, we can start wiping down all the components, and we can start cleaning out the halves of the pistol, okay? Once you're done cleaning all the components, as you can see here, a lot of my components are pretty clean already. What I like to do is use a good synthetic grease and start greasing all the O-ring rubber components. And as you guys will see here, when you open the lid, you'll notice that there is a little bit of grease attached to the lid. That is all you need to use, guys. So for me, I literally just use a little bit as possible, and I just go ahead and just slightly coat all the O-rings on all the different components. That was the safety selector switch. Next step, any just metal pieces that might need to be making contact with other metal pieces, guys. You have 3 primary O-rings here on the CO2 power tube, okay? There's one right here where it connects up to the air chamber. And so I just lightly lube that, guys. Like I said, a little grease goes a long way, guys. You don't need to put a lot on. Like I said, I literally just use what is on the cap of the grease container. There's another O-ring here on the air tube that connects the power tube components together. And then of course on the other end of that tube, there's a small O-ring there. And I just lightly grease that as well. Okay, guys. So that one is complete. Next piece, guys, is obviously separating the breech. Now, you'll notice that the breech also has the rubber detent, or rubber ball latch is what Tippmann likes to call it, inside it. So don't forget that that piece is there, guys, okay? So don't lose that. This O-ring right here is, in essence, a buffer O-ring. It kind of cushions the bolt when it goes, because this is a blow forward air system, guys. And what it will do is, with the O-ring in place behind the breech, as you see here, when the bolt slams forward to fire the projectile, it'll cushion the bolt from slamming into the breech. Okay, guys, so make sure that you do put that O-ring back. Okay. And then, of course, very similar to the other side, we have a cushion rubber piece here as well, or rubber O-ring that cushions the bolt when the spring pressure pushes on the bolt to reset the bolt back into position. Okay, guys? Now, real quick, you notice that the bolt has an O-ring to seal the air inside the breech when the bolt goes to fire the marker. However, this O-ring unfortunately is torn, guys, as you can see here. So I will need to replace this. Unfortunately, I don't have a spare one at the moment, but just be aware that I am aware of this O-ring damage. However, I am going to be replacing the factory components with a long ball kit. So in essence, a first strike conversion kit, guys. So I won't need this O-ring to do that, but just so you guys are aware that if you see any damaged components like O-rings, now would be the time to replace them, okay? So yeah, I would go and lubricate these O-rings as well, guys. I'm not gonna do it, but just to show you, because that O-ring is damaged. And then of course that cushion O-ring in the front, I'll lubricate as well. Like I said, guys, because the TiPX piston uses CO2, it's just good to lubricate all the rubber components because the CO2 is a little bit more harsh on the components, on the rubber components, as compressed air will be. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much it. Once you have all the components wiped down and clean, all the rubber components kind of lubed or replaced, we're ready to go ahead and reassemble the marker. And for the easiest way to assemble the marker, guys, is once again starting with the right half of the marker down on the table as shown here. And what we're going to do is pretty much it's going to be the reversal of how we took everything apart, guys. So the trigger bar connect goes in first. Then I'm going to insert our magazine release. Okay. Next up is our trigger assembly with obviously our metal bar retaining pin. Now make sure that the trigger I guess stub here, pin here, goes into the hole of the trigger connect bar. Okay, guys? And so it'll line up with the hole on the receiver, on the frame, and then of course the hole on that trigger bar, guys. And so obviously, as you can see here, when you go to press the trigger, it's going to move that bar. Okay. Next piece is that plastic piece that kind of aligns the two halves together, guys, and it only goes in one way. You'll see that the shape of that piece matches up with the frame of the body. Next we have is the selector switch. Inserting the black rubber O-ring into the right half side first, okay, guys? The red O-ring, which signifies that it's in the fire position, will be facing towards the left half of the marker, okay, guys? And then the next piece after that is going to be our CO2 housing. Okay, so for most people, guys, this next step is going to be the tricky part, because this spring is going to create pressure on the breech and on the air chamber and bolt. And so a lot of people have trouble getting those three pieces together and having them seat inside the right side of the frame without it popping out. So I'm going to show you a very easy way that I've learned, or I've figured out how to do it. Now, of course, if you guys have other ways of doing it out there, please comment and hopefully help all our viewers on how to do it easier. But this is the easy way I've found to do it. Is I set the breech in first, guys, with the ball latch and that buffer O-ring in position. So I assemble all those pieces together and then just set the breech into position, guys. Then I set the spring into the breech. Next step is I slide the bolt and the air chamber assembly into the spring and the breech as one unit and slide it into place. And you'll notice here that I will put pressure here with my left hand pointer finger to keep the breech in place, so that way the whole assembly doesn't pop out. Now at this point, it's really easy to just drop the power tube in, guys, because it's one piece. And you'll notice here that I'll drop it all in one piece. With the air chamber outlet hole here where the power tube is supposed to slide into, I'll slide it into position, as you guys will see here, and then I'll just rotate the assembly down and into position. Okay, guys, so hopefully you guys can see that here like that. That I've found, guys, is literally the easiest way to do this without having to kind of just hold everything in place. Everything just kind of falls into place, and as long as you maintain pressure right here, nothing's gonna pop out. Last step, of course, is to drop the barrel shroud in place, and in a way it's gonna hold everything in place as well, guys, right? Still though, once again, like I said, just maintain pressure right on this point right here on the breech, so that way the assembly doesn't pop up. And then now, of course, we can slide our left half of our body onto the pistol. Okay guys, and if you notice that I will maintain pressure on the barrel shroud and on the breech, slide the half over the selector and the magazine release, and pretty much it just slides right in place, guys. Simple, not having to worry about the two halves separating. Okay, next we drop all our Allen key bolts into position. This is why it was important to kind of keep it in the same position that we took it out from, guys, so we know exactly where the bolts go. And to start the bolts, guys, I literally just use the amount of torque that my finger can apply on just the Allen key itself. I don't use the handle, or if this was just a normal Allen key, I wouldn't use the 90-degree part. I would literally just spin the bolt with the Allen key body itself. This will ensure that I don't cross thread the bolts, because if it won't go down with just this pressure, guys, that means it's not aligning properly into the nuts, and you don't want to apply more pressure, which can potentially strip the bolts. Okay guys, so just start the bolts out by kind of this finger torque. Once I have all the bolts started, guys, then we can start tightening the bolts. And like I was telling you guys, I kind of go in a zigzag pattern, like if you were tightening down a cylinder head or cam caps. All right, guys, so there's no number sequence, but I kind of just do a crisscross pattern, guys, to ensure that everything is clamped down, tightened down to evenly. Okay? And I don't over tighten it, guys. I always use the long side of the T-handle or Allen key, so that way I'm not applying too much torque to the hardware or fasteners. Okay guys, once it stops and once I'm able just to apply a little bit of finger torque tightness, that's enough. Okay guys, so that's it. Now we have all the body, all the internal pieces back together. Check the safety selector switch, make sure it's sliding, the trigger is able to be pressed easily in and out. Now we can reinsert our CO2 chamber cap. And then of course we can thread our barrel back into place, guys. Once again, not over torquing the barrel thread, which is unnecessary. Otherwise it's gonna make it very hard for you to unthread it out later. And then lastly, of course, our magazine can be inserted into the marker. Okay guys, that was it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If you guys like that video, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button. I'll check you guys next time. Peace.